Today I'm talking to you about VoiceOver. For those of you who don't know, VoiceOver is a screen reader for all of Apple's platforms. And for those of you who don't know what a screen reader is, I'm going to start out by talking a little more generically before I dive into VoiceOver. Technology has such an ability to really expand opportunities for people. My background in my undergrad studies was in international relations, so we often saw how technology inspired people for regime change, to connect, to communicate, even to grow microeconomies. And in the case of people with a disability and people with a visual impairment who are completely blind or don't have enough functional vision to use a computer with magnification, the screen reader empowers us to have the opportunity to have equal access to a platform. Today, screen readers exist on almost every major platform, but it wasn't always that way. In fact, an interesting fact is that most screen readers were often developed by the users who themselves were blind who were going to use a screen reader. There are screen readers on Windows, on Linux, on the Mac, on Google's Android operating system, available for Samsung and Amazon devices today. The earliest screen readers were made for mainframe devices, later for MS-DOS, and even for the Linux command line. These were text-based environments, so a screen reader was a natural fit. But later, graphical interfaces came into existence, such as Windows and Apple Macintosh. These commercial options were quite expensive, coming in at somewhere between $1,000 and $1,200 per copy. I can remember having to buy a screen reader for my Windows mobile phone. So you can imagine buying the phone and then paying $300 for the ability to just see the screen. It's unbelievable in 2025, but only 15 years ago, that was normal. There are still commercial options available for the Windows platform, but there are also open source alternatives today, partly because of what Apple did. In 2004, Apple released VoiceOver for the Macintosh. And in 2009, they released it finally for the iPhone. This changed the paradigm of screen reader access. It changed it from something you add on to something that's included. Because Apple successfully included VoiceOver with OS X, it inspired two blind developers in Australia to ask the same question: why isn't there a built-in or free alternative to the $1,000 or more screen reader on Windows? That led to the development of the first open source, community-built screen reader for Windows called NVDA, for non-visual desktop access. This screen reader is used all over the world and is translated into more than 71 languages. Microsoft actually tried building a screen reader into Windows 2000, but it was not very functional, and it did not allow the user to use the device completely. In fact, Microsoft thought that a user would always prefer a commercial add-on screen reader and would only need their built-in screen reader to set up the operating system and get their commercial screen reader added on. This brings our discussion back to VoiceOver. It was successfully implemented. It was fully featured. It allowed a blind user for the first time to buy a computer off the shelf and have access to a screen reader immediately. This later inspired Microsoft to do the same thing. The introduction of the iPhone in 2007 changed the smartphone landscape. Before the iPhone, we had phones that were kind of smart. Windows Mobile and Pocket PC phones were the top of the line smartphones. There were also Nokia phones that ran a proprietary operating system called Symbian. They did not have screen readers or any accessibility features, but you could buy an add-on screen reader for them. When Apple came out with the iPhone, they included VoiceOver. Later, the iPad also included VoiceOver. Now you can find VoiceOver in every Apple product. The Apple Watch, the Vision Pro, even the HomePod. VoiceOver is controlled by gestures in the same way that a person uses their iPad,
Cupertino,
iPhone,
69
Apple
degrees
Watch,
Fahrenheit calendar.
even
Tuesday,
the Mac with the
8 tax
trackpad.
day all day. All day.
You use
button.
gestures to control
Tuesday,
it. The
April
gestures
15.
change slightly for
Tax
VoiceOver.
day all day. All
As you
day,
navigate
button.
the screen,
FaceTime.
you will flick right
Calendar. Tuesday,
to move forward,
April 15.
left to move backwards,
Photos.
and you double
Camera.
tap to select an element on the
Mail.
screen.
No unread emails.
With those basic
Notes.
gestures, a person who is
Reminders.
blind can use
Clock,
almost every
4:45
app
p.m.
available on
News.
iPhone, iPad,
TV.
or Apple Watch, or
Podcasts.
even the Vision
App
Pro.
Store. Maps.
As I move around
Health.
the screen,
Wallet.
VoiceOver tracks the focus
Settings. 2 new
and
items.
keeps track
Page
of
1 of
where
2.
I am.
Adjustable.
I can also
Dock.
touch the
Phone.
screen anywhere on the
Safari.
screen, and VoiceOver will
Messages.
speak the item
Music.
underneath my finger.
Double tap to open. Messages. Clock. For news. TV. Podcast. App Store. Health. TV. Pod. App. Map. Health. Wallet. Settings. 2 new items. Double tap to open. Settings. Search.
Notice how
Dictate
VoiceOver
button.
said double
Patrick
tap
Turnage,
to open.
Apple
It
account,
may sound
iCloud,
slow,
and more, but
but
some
I
iCloud
wanted
data isn't
to
syncing.
have
Finish
the
setting up
speech
your
voice
iPhone 1.
at a
Airplane
rate
mode,
where
Wi-Fi,
most people could
Bluetooth,
understand.
cellular,
That's VoiceOver's
battery,
default voice.
button, general,
It's suitable for a lot of
accessibility,
beginning
button.
users. In fact, it doesn't take a lot of training to get started using
Select
VoiceOver.
alert. A personalized
VoiceOver
iPhone
is
in ways
one
that
of
work best
many
for you with
accessibility
accessibility
tools
features for vision,
built into
mobility,
Apple products.
hearing, speech,
Do you notice
and
how
cognition.
this pop-up
Learn
appeared
more. Link.
telling me that there are
Use the
accessibility
rotor to access
notifications?
links.
I was able to hear that and interact with the screen
Vision. Heading.
using VoiceOver.
VoiceOver. Don't allow. But
Notice
allow.
the black
button.
border as
Don't
focus moves
notifications
from
may
button to
accessibility
button.
settings would
This
like to
lets
send
you
you
visually
notifications.
track where VoiceOver is reading on the
Notifications may
screen.
include alerts, sounds, and icon badges. Don't allow. Allow button. Settings. Accessibility settings.
These
Now,
are the
what's new with
accessibility
VoiceOver in
settings
iOS
for an
18?
iPhone.
See what's new
Accessibility
with VoiceOver
settings
in
on
iOS
the
18.
Mac
Zoom.
and
off,
other
button.
Apple devices
VoiceOver,
look very
on,
similar.
VoiceOver.
Sometimes
Switch button,
accessibility
on.
settings
VoiceOver
don't
speaks
just
items
help
on the
people with a
screen.
disability.
Tap once to
Sometimes
select an item.
people have trouble seeing
Double tap to
certain
activate the selected
colors or in
item.
certain
Learn more.
lighting
Link.
conditions.
What's new in VoiceOver?
And so
Link.
I urge
VoiceOver
anyone
practice.
to go and just
VoiceOver
look at these
tutorial.
settings
Button.
because you never know
Tip.
what you'll
Live
find in here
recognition.
or what convenience
Close.
they'll
Button.
allow you to
Using
have.
on-device intelligence. Your iPhone can detect people, doors, scenes, text, and furniture around you.
Apple's commitment to
VoiceOver
universal
recognition.
access
Button.
means that VoiceOver
Verbosity.
can be
Button.
controlled
Audio.
not
Button.
only with
Commands.
gestures,
Button.
but with a
Rotor.
keyboard
Button.
and refreshable braille
Activities.
display,
Button.
and even more complex assistive technology
VoiceOver.
devices
On. Button.
such as switches and joysticks
Dock.
and
Messages.
even voice commands.
Music. Message. Safari.
Watch me explore
Person
the
fill.
Safari
Favorite. In the
tab
last 7
and
days,
open Google.
Safari has prevented
You
zero
can imagine
edit,
with
address,
all the
voice
applications
search,
available in
toolbar,
education,
forward, dim, share, dim, show
leisure,
bookmarks,
utilities, all the apps on
In
the
the
App
last
Store,
7
just how
Privacy,
fundamental
Twitter, Facebook,
VoiceOver
Wikipedia,
is
Google,
for
Bing,
blind
button, Google,
students
button.
at all education
Main
levels.
menu, pop-up button, at RuneScape Dragon
As I
Wilds
navigate
early
around
access,
Google,
link.
listen to it announce elements on the web, such as links and headings. This is a more accurate representation of how I interact with VoiceOver in my day-to-day life. Watch me open a Wikipedia page and then listen to VoiceOver speak in multiple languages. You can imagine how this benefits students, professionals, blind users all over the world.
You can support our work with a donation. Link. Download with English. Link top languages. 6,974,000 plus. Link. Articles. Link. 145万7千.記事. Ruski. Su. 2. 0 pi. Steci. 2.000.000 plus. Español. Enlace. 2.020.000 más. Artículos. Enlace.
I hope in this video I've made it so clear how empowering a screen reader is. This technology, more than any other in my life, has been empowering and has allowed me to have a job, to complete school, to interact with the world around me and communicate with people. It mitigates my blindness in a way that nothing else really has. VoiceOver is amazing, and Apple has done a phenomenal job not only in building a screen reader, making a platform like theirs accessible, but changing the paradigm for the world and the way screen readers were viewed and accessed by people who are blind. For more information, visit apple.com/accessibility. And now, let VoiceOver read to you.
Thank you for joining me for this presentation.